Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is when you watch this. For me, it's morning as I'm having my coffee. And for this episode, we're going to review the candidate forum that was held and hosted by the Halifax County Chamber of Commerce for the candidates for Board of Supervisor position. And what I'm going to do is play the video and kind of break it down and stop and have a little commentary along the way. I regret not going myself. They did a live stream, but I regret not going because the camera is just not a very good video. I could have done, I could have, I have more tools for what it is I had intended on using this video for at my disposal. Whereas for the chamber, they just did a straight video, but anyway, so the quality is not the best and the audio is not the best. So what I did was I tried to alter the video just a tad so that you weren't seeing big long stretches of the floor. I tried to kind of condense it a bit so it was more focused on the candidates. And their camera moved a little bit, so a couple times the people that are talking kind of go in and out of the shot. But it's not too bad. The worst, though, is the quality. It's just kind of fuzzy. But I didn't want to do it at a huge distance like the original was because, I'd like for you to see people when they're talking. But anyway, we'll get past that, So in other words, I'm just saying the quality of my video and my audio is not great. So I used AI to do subtitles so that we could understand it better. And because there was a lot of mumbling, and of course, it doesn't pick up names very well, so there's errors in the captioning. I'm not quite sure how to correct that, but I'm sure there's a way to go in and do that. So what I'll do is stop and make the correction if I can hear it myself. But anyway, so we're going to kind of analyze this, and I'm going to have a little bit of commentary at the end. The whole thing went on for about an hour, so this video is probably going to be about an hour and a half, just to prepare you. I was going to break it in two, but I'd rather just do it. Well, my concentration's good. So anyway, here we go. So what I'm going to do is just play some of this, and we'll go from there. It was interesting. There was some good information. There were some tactics that I thought were extremely poor judgment on candidates' parts, and we'll talk about that too. So let me go over here and start playing this thing.
Good evening, and welcome, and we'll hear opening remarks from the candidates for Halifax County Board of Supervisors for election districts 2, 3, and 6. Tonight's questions were developed by the Governmental Affairs Committee of Halifax County Chamber of Commerce and have been shared in advance with the candidates. The plan is to give the candidates a chance to address each of the questions, and when a question is sent to an individual candidate, he will have 2 minutes to address the issue. Then, if the other candidates wish to respond or rebut, they will be given 60 seconds. There will also be 2 minutes on for opening and closing remarks. I've told the candidates earlier, but I'll remind them, I'll say 90 seconds when we get to that point. We'll say time when we run at the 2 minutes. And if it's a 60-second rebuttal, I'll say 45 at 45 seconds, and I don't say time at 60. It's all designed to keep us on schedule and to keep it fair.
All right, so bottom line here, he's trying to set up the rules. You can see the errors in the captioning. It just doesn't pick it up that well. But there was not room for public Q&A, nor necessarily rebuttal. There was just some follow-up. So basically, they had a set of questions. The candidates were given the questions prior to this interview, or prior to this forum. So it was pretty much prepared speech with not much spontaneity involved. Now, if you look at this, going left to right, left is James Gordon, who's a candidate for District 6. Beside him is Jeff Oakes, candidate for District 3. Beside him is Hubert Pinnell, a sitting board member who is also running for District 3 against Mr. Oakes. And then to the far side here is Larry Roller, who is a sitting Board of Supervisor person running against James Dixon, whom we have not yet to see in any of the forums or interviews. I've spoken to him a couple times. He said he would do an interview, but somehow we could never get the schedules together. I may try one more time, but I kind of feel like at this late date, I just, I mean, the election's in a matter of days. Yay. I know a lot of people who'll be glad. So that's the players. Those were the rules that were set down. The guy that's hosting, Nick Long, he also is a broadcaster slash host with the local radio station, WHLF, I think he said. Sorry if I got that wrong, because it's difficult for me to hear too. All right, so now that we've established that, let's move on.
So joining us tonight, our current election district 2 supervisor, Larry Roller, who is running unopposed, current E25 supervisor, Mr. Hubert Pinnell, and his challenger, Jeff Oates. And we have one of the two qualified candidates in the E26, James Gordon, who is with us tonight. His one Mike Thompson communicated to us that he had previous engagement and would not be able to attend. We'll have 10 to 8 to 10 questions from 4 general topics. They are leadership and accountability, budget, taxes, and fiscal management, county administration and school system relations, infrastructure, housing, and public safety. Excuse me. Our first will begin with opening remarks, and they will be given in alphabetical order, much to the chagrin of
Okay, this is even with the subtitles that are incorrect and kind of mumbling, it's still hard for even me watching this yet again. This is my third go with this video. It's still difficult to understand, but he was saying that the topics for the night pretty much cover financial, communication, infrastructure, public safety. And now they're going to start with opening remarks, and they're doing it in alphabetical order, which is why it's Gordon, Oakes, Pinnell, Roller, in that order of seating.
Gordon, who will be first. Please note that when we get to the final question and closing comments, it will be reversed. We can start with Mr. Roller and work our way back. So with that said, let's begin with the E6 candidate, James Gordon. James, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself and address any subject you deem necessary. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, and thank you very much. For those who don't know me yet, my name is James Gordon. I have resided in District 6 for 13 years now. My wife Kelly and I bought Springfield, and we put down our roots here in Halifax County. And from the day of arriving here, I've always maintained the position that given every option of where I chose to live in the world, I choose to live here. We have invested all of our time and effort into building a number of businesses here in the county, and obviously we have a vested interest in making sure that our county continues to thrive and succeed and move forward into the future with a view to looking after all of our citizens and really taking advantage of the wonderful economic opportunities that I believe are waiting for us, while also being mindful of our history, where we come from, and what it is that we plan to do in the future. I grew up in South Africa, a very different background to anybody else who's going to tell you they've lived in the county all of their lives. I haven't done that. Grew up in South Africa. I served in the South African Army. I immigrated to New Zealand. I served in the New Zealand Army as well. In the early 2000s, I transferred to work for the US government on a project in Iraq. And that is ultimately what led me to the United States. Kelly and I were living in Northern Virginia, and we decided we didn't want to stay there. We wanted to move somewhere better.
90 seconds.
We spent a lot of time looking, and we found Springfield, and we decided to move here. And our families moved with us. Much like the Vikings landing on the beach, we have burnt the boats. We're here to stay. We have a vested interest in making sure that we succeed, and I'm asking for the support of the people in my district, District 6, November 4th, please come out and vote. And if I'm your candidate, I can guarantee that I will fight for you, as I've spent my entire life standing up for what is right and putting in my effort.
Thank you, James. We appreciate that very much.
All right, let me pause there and say, so we're going around with brief introductions. I kind of thought it would be mentioning platforms, but when I was doing the captioning and stuff, I had to kind of skip around. But anyway, Mr. Gordon has done 2 interviews with me. Both of them are publicly available. The second one I've got to get on the Halifax Oasis Facebook page. But everything that I have done is on my YouTube channel. So just look up Halifax, F-A-C-T-S, Oasis on YouTube, and you'll find all this. So he did an introductory interview with me that lasted about an hour. And then we did a second interview out on his place that was a lot more in depth. And that one I think was about an hour, hour and a half. He is a transplant to the county, but he is invested in the county. He's been here years. He has a business here. And again, he is from District 6, which is, I want to say north. Okay, I'm not going to speak geographically. So that's the interaction I've had with him. He's been very open and forthright and, willing to talk about his platforms and answer whatever questions I may have had. So what I'm trying to do is just give you my personal experience with each of these people. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is Jeff Oakes, candidate for District 3.
Now, the challenger for E25 Board of Supervisors, candidate Jeff Oakes. Mr. Oakes, you have 2 minutes.
My name is Jeff Oakes. My wife Sandra's out here in the audience with me. We've been married for 44 years. I've been a lifelong resident of Halifax County. For 22 years, I served the county as a deputy sheriff, and then 12 years of that, I was the sheriff of Halifax County. I'm always conscious of the needs of the community. Having served as sheriff, I was exposed to about every kind of emergency you could think of. Good people, bad people, and not so good people. I've learned to handle crises as they arise. I call myself a problem solver as opposed to a problem creator. I've devoted my life to my church and my family. I serve in many capacities throughout the church, the Denver Baptist Association. I've worn many hats over my lifetime, from the farm, Southern States on 2 occasions, automotive industry. Briefly, I was a teacher's aide at Sinai Elementary School with kids that had learning disabilities, and enjoyed that immensely. God has been good to me over my lifetime, and continues to lead me in the right direction, and I hope to serve the citizens of Halifax County as well as District 3 as supervisor, and bring some new blood to the county, some new ideas, and a determination to get the job done for everybody in the county from one end to the other.
9 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. And
Okay, let's pause there. Mr. Oakes, my interactions with him, he has also granted me 2 interviews. The first one was on my territory, the second one on his, and it was much more in depth, and we got into a lot more discussion about platforms, needs of the county, etc. He also has been extremely open. Any questions I've had pre or post interview, and if there's a lot of things about this process I don't understand. He's been great about pointing me in the right direction should I need that, and also following up about concerns within the district and with the nightmare, and within the district and within the county at large. So I've had good experience with him, formulating opinions. And now let's move on to our next candidate.
yeah, we appreciate that. Under time. Ready to adjust them here. Stop. Reset. But I want to the current supervisor for election district 3, Mr. Hubert Pinnell. Mr. Pinnell, thank you for joining us. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon to all of you all. President John Kennedy was the 35th President of the United States. He gave his inaugural address on January 20, 1961 on the East front of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. He said these words. He says, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what can you do for your country." So my name is Hubert Pinnell, and I want to encourage you to go back to the polls again and re-elect Hubert W.H. Pinnell to be the next board supervisor for District Number 3. 12 years ago, 3 people, Mr. Randolph, Mr. Bill Fisher, and Mr. Will Claiborne, believed that I can make a difference in District Number 3. And I have done so. I have seen the dream come true, and I'm living witness of what good family values will produce. First, I would like to applaud the Chamber of Commerce here, and also like to applaud Mr. Long for the wonderful job that he's doing. And I want to thank my wonderful wife who has been by my side for 50-some years, and my children. My agenda remains the same: better pay for police officers, increased funding for education, economic development, and affordable housing. I have been a native here for over 70 years, and I've served my country faithfully 22 years, 22 plus 25 years in the military, or 27 years in the military. And I have received some of the highest accommodations in the military, reaching some of the highest ranks in the military. And then I got onto to be the board of supervisors. Not too long after that, I was selected chairman. Not too long after that, I was selected chairman of the board, served as vice chairman of the board of supervisors, and served as the chairman of the policy and personnel committee, and also appointed by the governor to serve on the higher ed committee. Unlike my opponent, I have a good track record, and my opponent doesn't. So do not be fooled that he is saying and he will do the kind of things that he says he's doing. He was voted in as the sheriff, and how in the world are you going to serve as a board of supervisor when you couldn't even serve as a sheriff and you have a criminal record?
Time. Thank you very much, Mr. Bennell. And
Did he say criminal regime? Okay. Let me give you my history with Mr. Purnell. Since I started this podcast and started doing the getting involved in politics a couple months ago, I have left message after message after message with him, and he does not even have the courtesy to call me back and say no thank you. Now, I will tell you that the other board members, where's my paper? Here. Pete Riddle from District 1, Dennis Witt from District 4, and Keith McDowell from District 7 had the courtesy to call me back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I'm too busy. There's too much going on. Whatever the excuse was, not to interview with me, and that's fine. They at least took a minute to respond to me. They had enough respect for me to call me back and tell me, I don't want to do this. Fine. You don't want to do it, fine. Mr. Purnell, on the other hand, I left message after message after message over weeks, and he would not even call me back. And I feel like, even as a citizen and a constituent, that is unbelievably disrespectful. So I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, maybe I'm a little biased in what I'm about to say, but his entire introduction, I thought, when someone speaks of themselves in third person, it's showing ego. He kept referring to himself as Hubert Purnell. Why? We know who you are. You've got signs all in front of you. That was one thing that rubbed me wrong. And then to invoke John F. Kennedy for a Board of Supervisors forum, this little county election, I get that you're trying to preface by saying, I'm like Kennedy because I believe you should do what you can for your country. And it's wonderful that you spent, I'm still not sure what you meant. I think you meant 27 years in the military. That's great. You said you were chair of the board at one time. Why are you not chair anymore? What happened there? I have so many questions for you. But the fact that you went on the attack and called Mr. Oaks a criminal regime is a bit upsetting, and I think it was dirty. So, two things here. You're a pastor, and you bald-faced lied about returning. This comes later because I heard it. You bald-faced lied about returning messages. You do not return messages. Number two, you started out saying something ugly about your opponent. And a criminal regime, Mr. Purnell, let's give some context here. Let's put this in perspective. Because when I started interviewing Mr. Oaks, I researched this and I know all about it. Before the first interview, I straight up talked to him about it. I said, you have a conviction. What's that all about? And he was so open and honest, and I kind of felt sorry for him the way he was treated after it happened. Why don't you explain that the person that beat him in the election, the incoming sheriff, he had wiped his computer of emails. I did the same thing when I left a state job because I had personal emails on there. Well, could I have been criminally charged? I don't know. Maybe I could have. It's a common thing. I'll guarantee that you have deleted emails from your computers, work-related or personal-related, in mixing that. Because most people don't keep very definitive, clear boundaries and lines between work and personal email. Why? Because a lot of people have to work at home. When you're a public servant, you're pretty much on call 24/7. So you're going to have text messaging on your personal phone. I know for a fact you do. So let's look at what the charge was. is he was outgoing as a sheriff of 12 years. He wiped emails and computer stuff. So the incoming sheriff had him charged with petty larceny. He went to court and fought it and pled not guilty. He was found guilty, and he had to pay a $37.50 fine to replace a software program or something to that effect. Now, why don't you talk about that instead of calling him a criminal regime? And you're a pastor? Really? I am so disappointed in you. Now I know why you won't talk to me. Why? Why would somebody who served 27 years in the military and is a pastor of a church tell a lie and then blow up a situation trying to demean someone? You know? I just think that's shameful of you. Let's move on.
Now let's move to the current supervisor for Election District 2, Mr. Larry Roller, who's joining us close. Mr. Roller, thank you for joining us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Nick, and people are always being here. My name is Larry Roll, and I am the present supervisor representing Election District 2. And seeking re-election, I am also opposed. I grew up on a tobacco farm in the Mount Laurel community of Buck County and graduated from Halifax County High School in 1974. I continued my education and obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering Technology from Virginia Tech in 1979. I was fortunate to find employment in Howard County and served as an engineer employed by Burlington Industries from 1979 through 1986. I operated a local tool dealership until 1990 when I accepted employment with Halifax County Public Schools, serving as the Director of Operations and Maintenance for 24 years. I have a varied background that includes farming, operating a small business, employment in a manufacturing environment, and employment with a public entity. Work experience includes hiring and managing staff, budget preparation, capital forecast, procurement, project management, and equipment, utilities, and facilities maintenance. I have also served on the Board of Supervisors, with 2 of those being his tiebreaker pastor. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel my education and work experience allows me to look at issues from many viewpoints, which serves me well as a member of the Board of Supervisors. My goal in running for office is quite simple. Halifax County has been good for me, and I'd like to give back to our community. Thank you.
And under time.
Okay, so Mr. Roller, the experience I've had with him, he granted me an interview in the beginning. I have not followed up with a second interview. I don't feel it's necessary unless I can get an interview with his opponent, James Dixon. And I don't know if I see that happening. I mean, I'll do the best I can. But he seems to have pretty good qualifications and background in education as far as engineering. And I learned a lot of information from him when I interviewed him. Okay, so now I think they're going to start going into the prepared question area, so let's see.
Thank you very much. Again, let me remind everyone that this is a candid forum, not so much a debate, but more of a roundtable discussion of the issues and the opportunities that are ahead of us as a community. We simply ask that you be yourself. So thanks again for agreeing to be a part of this event. And with that said, let's begin. Question number 1, Mr. Ward, from the Leadership and Accountability section of the questions, we'll begin with, what do you believe is the single most important responsibility of a Halifax County Board Supervisor or Supervisor?
The most important responsibility.
How do you measure your success? And so you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. The reason why I decided to run is really the crux of, what is the principal responsibility of a member of the Board of Supervisors. You need to represent the people of your district. You need to listen to them. You need to understand what it is that pains them. And you need to represent them with the rest of the Board of Supervisors to make sure that their needs are taken care of as far as you possibly can. And then also look after the interests of the county at large. It doesn't just stop at your district. We all operate inside this county, and we all have issues that cross over district lines. So I think the most important thing is to be available to people, to hear what it is that they have to say, and to carry the water for them and make sure that their viewpoint or their issues is represented at the board. I will measure my success through regular town halls where people will have the opportunity to come and sit and talk with me, engage with me, and also I will be accessible. You will be able to call me, you can leave me a message, and I will call you back. And the reason why I decided to run was because I didn't get that. For 3 years, I couldn't get a call back from the Board of Supervisors, and that is not good enough. I will not operate that way, and I will always have a transparent and open approach towards my dealings as far as representing the people of District 6.
Very good. Under time, turn it back up. Again, under time. Next in line, Jeff, you have 60 seconds to address the same question. Which is the most responsibility, most important responsibility of a supervisor? And if elected, how would you measure your success? 60 seconds.
Well, most of what James said holds true for me as well. As stewards of the community, we have to be responsive to our constituents. That means answering the phone when someone calls you. If not answering it, returning the phone call to your constituent, find out what their problem is, that issue is. We have to be accountable to the people who we serve, irregardless of their standing in the community. We need to answer that phone.
Is your mic on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I was freaking out thinking it was something I did.
My bad.
I'm going to reset. So let's try that again. 60 seconds.
All right. As stewards of our communities, we must be responsive to the
That's
citizens
better.
we serve. An effective supervisor needs to answer his telephone when called, return phone calls, as well as periodically meet with constituents to learn about their concerns, answer their questions, and address important issues. As our communities become more diverse, a competent supervisor must educate himself on issues that confront smaller sectors of our county as opposed to broader, more generalized problems. We can't neglect the few in responding to the more popular opinion. As far as how I measure my success, input from my constituents, telling me how well I'm doing my job, and how the county is moving forward in the process.
Okay, very good. And under time, let me leave that microphone on. Let's move on to Mr. Goodell. You have the same question, and you're ready 60 seconds.
I believe that the single
Your
most,
microphone, sir.
I believe that the single most important thing facing the Board of Supervisors, certainly me at this time, is housing. Hitachi is already here, and we'll continue to expand this organization with 852 jobs. And not only this is good for Hitachi, but it's good for our county. And if we can find.
I want to pause here for a minute and just say Hitachi has given a number of 852 jobs, and it may be in excess of that. In fact, it's going to be in excess of that. Hitachi. Board of Supervisors did not go out and get that business. Hitachi's been here and has been a supporter of this county for years.
Improve our housing for folks that are coming in. We should do well with Hitachi and with these additional jobs that we have coming in. Also, one of the biggest challenges I think we're going to face is right now there are 42 million people who do not have SNAP benefits. Now, of that 42 million, 32% in Halifax County are on SNAP benefits. So we're going to have to figure out how to get these fed. And also,
Pause again. Fact check. 3,200 families are affected by SNAP in this county. Before this forum, days before this forum, Governor Youngkin declared a state of emergency, and Virginia is going to pay SNAP benefits for the month of November. So that crisis has been averted for now. So that is not a top priority of the Board of Supervisors at the moment. Maybe in the future it will be, but not now.
how do I measure my success? I measure my success through what I've already done. At Verizon Tower, one on Thompson Road, and Private putting in optic fiber, and also you'll see that a Dollar General went up $25,000 for our fire department.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we talk about towers in this district. I've been in that district. I've talked to all the people in that district. The internet there is probably the worst in the county. There's two non-functioning towers. In fact, somebody asked me when I first started this, we've had a tower here for 5 years that doesn't work. Why? And that's been explained to me. So why claim credit for a failure? Well, I mean, you're welcome to, but.
Mr. Roller, can you respond to the single most important responsibility of a supervisor, and how you would measure your success? 60 seconds.
And I feel the single most important responsibility is being prepared to make decisions that provides the best outcomes for the county and its citizens. Being prepared consists of attending and participating in assigned committee meetings, reviewing staff, providing information in committee meeting minutes, performing your own research and asking questions for clarification, and listening to and responding.
Stop there for a minute. Look at how he's giving specific data information to answer the question. You don't see that very often. So that's good that he's giving specifics. Research staff. Get your committees up and running. Hold them accountable.
To citizens' comments and concerns. How will I measure my success? I do not have a personal agenda or loyalty to anyone, and I always put the best interests of the county first, as all board members should do. I worked for the local school system for 24 years and based my decisions on, can I stand in front of the school board and justify my decision? Although they may not agree with my decision, I was always prepared to provide an explanation. My decisions on the Board of Supervisors, if elected, will be based on, can I stand in front of my constituents and justify my decisions? That's how I measure my
Thank you.
success.
Thank you. Well, on to question 2, Mr. Oaks, you will get this. This is from the Budget, Taxes, and Fiscal Management section. Halifax County's personal property tax remains one of the most debated local issues. How would you support prorating it, reducing it? And do you have any recommendations as to how that tax revenue would be replaced? You have 2 minutes to address the issue, sir.
Good topic.
Mike, which one? Mike?
Which question?
Listen to me. Halifax County's personal property taxes remain one of the most debated local issues. How would you support prorating it, reducing it? Do you have any recommendations as to how that revenue would be replaced?
Okay, question 5.
Captions are terrible.
That's just
Sorry.
so you guys have them. We want to have a discussion. I want you to, I really didn't want you to write these out. I want you to tell us what you think. Nevertheless, I'm going to restart it, and you
Then it would have been better to not have the questions at all as opposed to having the questions
papers
ahead of time.
to me.
Okay,
Don't argue with
the
your
debate
format.
between prorating and reducing personal property taxes cuts both directions. The question is, how much revenue is lost if you prorate or reduce personal property taxes? Personal property taxes in the county generate $15.5 million annually as a general rule. It changes minutely every once in a while. If we cut out a certain amount of personal property tax through a reduction or through prorating, how do we fill that gap? How do we plug that back into the overall $192 million budget that the county has? So that's a difficult thing to address. Prorating is a nightmare in following the time frame that a vehicle or a piece of property was in the county. You also have to take into account the businesses because it's a tax on businesses.
I want to stop here for a minute because I'm not savvy on finances very well, but it seems to me like if you have a budget of X amount of dollars and you're generating enough revenue for that budget, you wouldn't even need taxes. But taxes are a big part of the revenue. I get that. And I'm going to tell you right now, from a personal standpoint, if they go out and assess every single thing in this county, there's going to be a big change because my house was reassessed and my taxes quadrupled. My house payment went up like $150, $200 a month. And if that's what it is, that's fine, that's fair. But when it was assessed, the gentleman told me that there's a lot of places in this county that the assessment is so low and they don't pay hardly any taxes. So I would think, number one, if you want to talk about fairness and equity, you go out to every single abode, business, house, farm, whatever, in this county and do fair assessments. Fair, what's the word? What something's worth assessment. There's a word for it. What am I thinking of? Anyway, that is probably going to raise your revenue on taxes up. Then you make it where it's fair across the board. My dad always said, why don't they just have a flat tax rate of 10%? I don't know if that'll work or not. I think it should be scaled. Like the richer you are, the more taxes you should pay. And people say, why? It's my money. Why should I get taxed more? Because who needs billions of dollars? Come on now. Anyway, let's not even get into that. So back to the tax thing. So if you have a budget and you're bringing enough revenue in the county to do that, the taxes really shouldn't be much of a discussion. So the prorating and the reducing and all that, I mean, doesn't it seem that simplistic to you? Get the revenue to make the budget, and taxes can be lowered or not even existent, you know? But I think everybody agrees paying taxes is just part of life. We have to do it. What is it? That's something else my dad always said. 2 guarantees in life, death and taxes. But attracting people to the county, and if you have really high taxes, that's not going to work either. A lot of people move. I've heard a lot of people move here from big cities, and they say because land's so cheap and the taxes are low. So keeping it that way, it's like another thought process to me that's just simple. You just need more revenue. How do you get revenue? You pull the business in. How do you pull the business in? That's what a lot of this is, connecting all these dots for a success story. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to babble on. Let's go back to what he was saying about taxes.
As well. So it's a difficult thing to address concisely, but it's something that we need to think about both sides of it. What are we losing on the revenue side, and how do we replace that revenue in the overall grand scheme of things for the total budget?
And your time. Thank you very much. That was to clarify, I guess you figured that one out. These are not in order. Those are the questions that we wanted you to be aware were coming your way. We weren't going to follow the script. Okay, fair enough. But now let me move on, Mr. Brunel. You have 60 seconds to address the personal property tax question. And if you were to make any changes, how would you replace it? 60 seconds.
Well, I wanted to address the personal property tax issue. First, let me do this. This is exactly why you don't need him to be a board supervisor. He has no idea where he's at right now. So let me just do this. Halifax County.
This is why you invited him here? Is that what you just said? I need to back that up a minute.
Very much. That was to clarify, I guess you figured that one out. These are not in order. Those are the questions that we wanted you to be aware were coming your way. We weren't going to follow the script. Okay, fair enough. But now let me move on, Mr. Brunel. You have 60 seconds to address the personal property tax question. And if you were to make any changes, how would you replace it? 60 seconds.
Well, I wanted to address the personal property tax issue. First, let me do this. This is exactly why you don't need him to be a board supervisor. He has no idea where he's at right now. So let me just do this. Halifax.
Wow, what a jerk comment. Sorry. All right, so if you didn't understand what just happened here, they were given a set of scripted questions, and Mr. Long did not ask them in the order of the script. He said, we just wanted you to be aware that this was the question bank. And Mr. Oakes was looking for the question. Which one did you ask here? And then Purnell leaps on that to take advantage and say, he doesn't even know what's going on. I mean, you talk about not being civil. That's just so unkind and rude. And let's move on.
County has the lowest real estate tax within several counties within our area. And if I had to reduce the personal property income tax, I think I would get rid of the waste tax. That's at $75. So if we get rid of that waste tax, we'll be doing Halifax County a great deed. Now, how do you replace it? It is hard to replace tax once you remove it. But I think if we could use solar farm and some of the money we get from solar farm in the future, we can reduce that waste tax and save Halifax County station some money.
What are the specifics? What are you going to replace it with?
Mr. Ole, you're next to address the issue of how much in the personal property tax, and if you were to make changes, how would you replace that revenue? You have 60 seconds.
Okay, if we lower or prorate personal property taxes, funds have to come from somewhere else. Raising machine and tools tax rates would have a negative impact on attracting the industry. Raising real estate taxes would disproportionately affect individuals that choose to own land since local Kansas services are required for buyout dirt. Setting tax rates is a balancing act trying to keep them affordable and spreading them among people receiving services in a somewhat buyout manner. Almost everyone owns personal property, while a majority owns real estate and a few own large amounts of real estate. Present real estate taxes generate 36% of revenue, personal property 16%, and tools, materials. I cannot support reducing personal property taxes means increasing real estate, machine, tools, taxes. If you can, it could increase businesses. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Ward,
So the only thing I kind of caught out of that was that he can't advocate or support reducing personal property taxes if it means raising taxes on machine and tool tax, is what it sounded like. Oh God, sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. Let me do that right now. But he didn't give any specifics on how, what could counterbalance each other. And I think we have one more answer here from Mr. Gordon.
you to address the same question, sir. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. I think that we look at taxes and how we gain revenue for the county in completely the wrong way. For far too long, the Board of Supervisors thinks that the only way that they can increase revenue and increase productivity for their activities is to tax the people who live here more. And I've seen that far too much. I'm tired of paying more taxes. I'm tired of them raising my tax rate through whatever means in order to do it. I think that we should be looking towards the future, and we should be looking to see what we can do to actually grow our community. If we add more people who are productive in our community, we add more businesses, we do more activity, all of that makes it much easier for us to do what we need to do. And increasing the tax base is my preferred way of addressing that problem. I think that we do far too much to just sit back and just say, okay, fine, well, I have a captive base, I'm going to tax these people more. Why don't we look at what we can do to grow the county, grow the community, and grow that tax base so that the weight is spread a little bit wider. I'm not a fan of taxing any property, it's my property.
Can I respond to that?
No, let's continue. If you get a question and you have extra time, feel free to do so. In fact, this question is coming your way.
See, and I got to preface this and tell you guys that I have, with all humility, I do have a bachelor and a master's in psychology. And interrupting here, the use of third person shows someone who's very entitled and got a head full of power. I mean, look at the signs down there. All signs in front of him with his name everywhere. And I'm not trying to bash on this man, but what I'm seeing, it's just not good.
This is concerning the county administration and school board relations. The school board and the board of supervisors often clash over funding priorities. What's your plan to improve cooperation between the two boards? Mr. Bailey, you have 2 minutes.
I have always and continuously have a great relationship with the school board. I've never had a problem with the school board. I've always voted consistently with the school board. Of course, they need some money right now for the athletic field that's coming out.
If they have such a great relationship with the school board, why did the school board have to send a lawyer letter asking where their money was that was given to them?
I have been always an advocate for the school system, and I will continue to be an advocate for the school system. I have never spoke evil of them or ill will of them. I have a wonderful relationship with them, and I will continue to do so.
Okay, you have plenty of time. You have 90 seconds if you would like to address anything else still in your time.
Well, what I would like to do is address that situation.
Of course, you can.
I have been on the board of supervisors for 12 long years. I have never, ever, and we have, to my recollection, we have never raised taxes since I've been on the board. Not one time we have raised taxes. Yeah, I know I'm right.
Fair enough. Let's press on. Mr. Roller, you're next to address the question. The school board and the board of supervisors clashing over funding priorities. What's your plan to improve cooperation between the two boards? Sir, you have 60 seconds.
I feel the school system administration and board members need to do a better job of communicating challenges, accomplishments, and visions of the future just to justify spending. And the board and supervisors need to do a better job of listening and try to understand these challenges and that vision. I worked with the local school system for 24 years, and it was a continuous battle to keep board members aware of my needs and vision due to constant turnover in members with elections every 2 years, and with the board of supervisors every 2 years is doubly so. The fact that the school board has no taxing authority and depends on board of supervisors for law enforcement makes communications even more critical.
Can understand.
We need to communicate.
Thank you very much, Nadine.
No specifics, those are general spin answers.
You have 60 seconds to address this question. Anything else you choose?
I think clearly the communication between different parts of the administration and the county has continued to be under strain. I think that's something that we need to get sorted out.
That's saying
We
it
have
nicely.
The school board and the board of supervisors failing to come together in a productive way. That's a problem that needs to be addressed, and that's something that I think that we need to face head on and stop dancing around the issue. I certainly think a lot can be done to improve communications, and I believe that we went through a lot of debate in the county regarding whether we should go ahead with that high school. I didn't think it was the best idea at the time, but the majority spoke and we went ahead. I supported it wholeheartedly. And I think we need to move ahead with completing that project. And we need to make sure that both the board of supervisors and the school board are conducting their business in an effective way.
And under time, thank you. Mr. Oakes, you have 60 seconds to address a plan to improve cooperation between the two boards.
First of all, Nick, let's address the elephant in the room. As an employee of the school system, Mr. Daniel should abstain from voting on any budget issues involved in the school board. So he's probably in violation of the law in that respect. Secondarily, the 1% sales tax as of August has generated $17.5 million in the county coffers.
Pause. That was a big statement. Let's fact check it real quick. How would I look that up? I probably should do ChatGPT. I tell you, if you need to look something up better than Google, try ChatGPT. It's very, very helpful. And you can put it on your phone too, as well as your computer. So he was saying that Pinnell is an employee of the school, so he should be abstaining on votes that have to do with the school board budget. Makes sense, but is it true? So we're going to ask GPT. Ask ChatGPT. If a board of supervisor member is also employed at the local school system, is it appropriate for him to vote as a board of supervisor member on the budget of the school board? Let's see what it says. That's an excellent and important question, Lisa. See how nice ChatGPT is. In Virginia and in most states, a county board of supervisors member who is also employed by the local school system may have a conflict of interest when voting on school funding matters. Here's the clear breakdown under Virginia law. The Virginia Conflict of Interest Acts, Virginia Code 2.2-3103 and 2.2-3106 for local government officers and employees. These sections prohibit a public officer from participating in transactions where they have a personal interest. A personal interest includes a financial benefit to the officer themselves or their employer when that employer's interests are affected by the transition. So, if we apply that to our scenario here, if a Board of Supervisors member works for the school system, the school division's budget directly affects their employer and possibly their own pay or job security. So when the Board of Supervisors votes on the county's appropriation for the school division, the member may be seen as having a personal interest in the transaction. What they should do, in most cases, the ethical and legal appropriate step is to disclose the conflict of interest in writing before the vote or abstain from participating in any discussion or vote that involves the school budget. So Mr. Oakes is absolutely correct here. I did not know that. I just learned something. You know, Mr. Purnell's on a lot of boards. He's on the higher education board. He's on the social services board, the Department of Social Services. So he has a hand in where their expenditures go. I've been covering something called the Special Welfare Fund that I'm delving much deeper into if I can ever get my FOIAs returned from Social Services, that I'm exploring, that I think there's a huge conflict of interest here too. What are those pieces of the puzzle? What picture do they make? That's for you to interpret and for you to speak out how you feel about it when you go to vote. Let's get back to it.
School board to designate to school improvements, elementary school or the sports facility. I think it's counterproductive for the board of supervisors to hold up $6 million of that funding for a project that will only benefit the kids in this county, the young people of our community, our future. Let that money go. Let it be applied to what it needs to be applied to. And then reserve the remaining funds for smaller projects throughout the elementary schools in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, and at the time. All right, question for Mr. Oler.
Mr.
This
Stroller.
question is from the section on infrastructure, housing, and public safety. Our 911 and emergency services teams are in critical need of improved communication systems and staffing. How do you fund and prioritize those needs? So we've got 2 minutes.
This is a big issue and topic here.
Just important is funding is determining the type of radio system that suits all their users' needs. Around 2017, a professional communications firm conducted a study, and a P25 system was recommended for the county. The price tag at that time was $17 million, and an alternate UHF system was priced for $3 million and sold as providing equal performance as the P25. A no-brainer to save the county $14 million. However, the system did not perform as advertised. The way I see it, the county has 3 options. We can expand our existing system with known issues at an estimated cost of $5 million. We can migrate to the Virginia state-owned solar system used by state police at an estimated cost of $12 to $25 million. We can purchase a new P25 system that suits all our user needs at an estimated cost of $35 million. Each option has its advantages and disadvantages and price tag attached. I feel that end users need to be very involved in system selection and everyone on the same page moving forward. Funds may be available from a reduction in debt service of $2.5 million in 2028, but there are many competing needs. Expansion of revenue generating ventures that don't carry expenses for the county, such as solar or battery storage, seems advantageous to me. Thank you.
And under time, thank you. James, Mr. Gordon, you're next to address the emergency services communications issue. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Look, I think it's critical. I think that everybody in the county knows that our system is failing. It doesn't work the way it was supposed to. And we have a situation where law enforcement and first responders are forced into positions where they are effectively left without communication, and that's been addressed in a number of different areas. It's critical that we fix it. We have to free up the funding to do that. We're also facing the prospect of potentially getting 800 jobs in one new place, another 1,000 coming in. We have a growing community and a growing number of people, and we don't know how our emergency services are going to be able to cater to looking after whatever happens with those people. It's a critical issue. We have to find the funding for it, and we need to make sure that our law enforcement and first responders have the tools they need in order to secure their lives and ours.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And under time, thank you. Mr. Oates, you have 60 seconds to address the emergency services communications needs.
This issue is near and dear to my heart, and it's got to be fixed. There's no way around it. I don't care what it costs. Think about it, your loved one is at home and calls 911 and rescue doesn't get the signal because of a system that's not suitable for the application that it was designed for. It's a commercial system. It's not made for rural Halifax County, 820 square miles. So you need a repeated system that will boost the signal to and from the dispatch center. It's going to cost big money. There's no doubt about it. what price do you put on somebody's life? What price do you put on a law enforcement, rescue, firefighter who's out there in the field? And their life depends upon being able to get that signal out to the dispatch center and get help. I've lived it. I've been there. I've done it. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, there's time. Mr. Brunel, we would like your thoughts on the matter as well.
Brunel.
Of the current 911
This
system,
captioning's terrible.
system and staffing, and how would you fund and prioritize those needs? You have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I would imagine to replace this system is going to be difficult, and we have been working this issue for some time. I have talked to Mr. Johnson, I was the emergency coordinator. To upgrade the system will be about $4 to $5 million to go on stars, which the system will test it. But we still have a question about how we're going to be able to fund that. And I do believe that another system, the E25 system, is going to cost a lot of money also. But we do know there has been a talk around $15 million to fund this system. And some money, we're talking at $40 million. But I will agree with most of what the board members have said. This is something that we really need to take care of. Now, how to fund that? Again, we took the solar money so much and funded toward, we put it toward capital improvements. So I would think that we would take the solar money that we're going to get in.
Solar, not stolen.
And mark this toward the
So that's
safety system.
thank you. Thank you. Question 5 is back to you, Mr.
All right.
Gordon.
No, pause. Okay, he said solar money, SOLAR, not stolen. I want to make sure that that's corrected. I think that, yeah, the gist was trying to get more money in that way to fund this type of system, because solar is a very contentious topic in this county too, and I'm sure we'll cover that before this is over. But I'm looking at my clock and I've run an hour already, and I'm only halfway through this video, so I am going to split this into 2 parts because I have an interview this morning and I don't want to be late for that. So this is to be continued. Keep an eye out for it on my website. And remember, everything I've ever done collectively is on YouTube. I still have some amending to do with the rebranding. I hope you noticed my new commercial from the rebrand. I'm excited about it. I have some more that I've done that I'll be dropping at some point. But these are really important issues, and I really hope people get engaged and involved and go out there and vote. Because this is where it starts. This is your foundation politically. You know, I really want to get young people more involved in this and have some ideas in the future of what to do. A lot of updates on the website, www.halifaxsoasis.com. Be sure to subscribe and like on YouTube as well. This will help me generate more of an audience. I know it's a little confusing with the rebrand, but we're on track. Everything's good now. And I'll see you in part 2.